Hey folks, welcome back to the show. This is your host Ryan Kennedy. In today's episode, I'm going to be covering some of my favorite options for lightweight, compact, inexpensive exercise equipment that you can utilize for workouts either at your house or when you're on the go, when you're traveling. And really two pieces of equipment that rise to the top as just awesome options for anyone that together cost less than $100 and are really key because oftentimes when people travel, whether you're going on vacation, you're getting on a plane going somewhere, or if you're just going on a road trip or going camping, getting out into nature, which I'm a huge fan of, local gyms can be hard to find or not available whatsoever. And people use this as an excuse not to train, not to work out. And this oftentimes causes their progress to really backslide because typically when you're on vacation, you're going out of town. You might be drinking more, you might be eating less healthy foods, you might be staying out later. And while all those things can be part of a balanced approach and enjoying yourself, by not getting any exercise in, it's only going to compound the regression when it comes to your body composition, your health, and your overall wellness goals. So these two things are absolutely game changing to have on hand because then there's no excuse. There's not like, the gym is crowded or it's super far. I don't have time to get out there, or I got a busy itinerary with my trip and I don't really have time to carve out to get my workout clothes on, walk down, get in a car, drive there, work out, drive back. All that stuff takes a lot of time. And even at home, with most of my patients I work with in my practice, I'm all about home workouts because it saves the transit time having to go to and from the gym. And not everyone likes the gym. A lot of people are intimidated. They just don't like the environment. I'm personally not a fan of the health aspect of gyms. You know, as much as I enjoy going to a commercial gym just because they have heavier weights and great equipment I don't always have access to, the environment is not healthy. It's not health promoting. You know, you got all these artificial junk lights. You have chemicals outgassing from the flooring, the mats that they use, the equipment. They spray all sorts of disinfectant chemicals on the equipment to clean it, which is important. You got to keep it clean and sanitary, but it's also not really good for you because it's not like they're using natural products. They're using a bunch of chemical crap. And on top of all that, you just have a interesting dynamic between everyone there. Most people are on their phones. It's just not always the best situation. So I like to train outside. I have a garage gym, so I have all my workout stuff at home. So I could be, you know, no shoes, no shirt, in my garage gym, getting sun, not having to worry about any of the driving back and forth, finding a parking spot, any of that nonsense. And especially when I go out camping, I love to be able to still get some training in. You know, while I might be surfing or mountain biking or paddleboarding as part of that camping trip, I also like to do some resistance training, even if it's just a small quantity. You know, usually the workouts I do, especially when I'm traveling, are 10 to 15 minutes total. But that short amount of time pays massive dividends. You get an incredible return on your time investment with the outcomes it produces. So the first style of training I'm going to talk about, first piece of equipment, are resistance bands. I used to think resistance bands were garbage, as most people do, because if you're a stronger guy, they don't always provide a lot of tension. And so you don't really feel like you're getting that much workout. You're like, man, is this thing going to snap and just slap me in the face? So I've never been a fan of them until I realized, like, okay, it's actually good ones out there that do provide plenty of tension. When you know how to use them, they're incredible. Because don't get me wrong, I love training with free weights, cable machines, kettlebells, all that good stuff. But when used correctly, I found variable resistance through the resistance bands, the tension, to be incredible. Because, and here's why, you know, our force output during different points of our range of motion is radically different. Let's take a bench press, for example. The amount of weight you can lift when the bar is close to your chest, which is your weakest range of motion, when the bar is all the way at the low point, is 7-fold less than when the bar is near the top of the range of motion. That's your strongest point. And so utilizing these force requirements at different stages of the range of motion to match your power output, you're able to achieve more muscle activation while actually decreasing the stress on your joints and any chance of injury. So when you're using a fixed weight, like a free weight, you're subjected to your weakest part of the range of motion. And this causes a lot of untapped potential when you're in your stronger ranges of motion. So if you can bench press, let's say 150 pounds, when you're at weakest range of motion, that's the most you could use. Because if you use 160, you won't be able to push the bar back up. Even though that top range of motion, you could probably handle 700, 800, 900 pounds in theory. Well, resistance bands are awesome because the tension of the bands, the way that they work, is as you're in your stronger ranges of motion, the band is more stretched out and it creates a lot higher tension, so more force production. And when you're in your weaker ranges of motion, the band is not as stretched out, so less tension. So it really works in synergy with our biomechanics. And the beautiful thing about resistance bands is they're super cheap. You can get a pretty decent pair on Amazon for about 25 bucks. They're super easy to store or travel with. They come, kind of pile up into a small bag, and you can put them in a suitcase, or you can throw them in your car if you're going on a road trip. They don't weigh much at all. And they're great for home workouts too. You could stash them somewhere in your garage or in your storage cabinet, break them out, and you just need a point to attach them to. And they could be great for exercises like rows, bicep curls, a lot of pull movements that are harder to achieve with just body weight. When it comes to body weight exercises, which are fantastic, you could do a lot of push exercises. You could do squats and lunges and push-ups and dips and all sorts of other good stuff. It's harder to do pull stuff, to work your hamstrings, to work your biceps, to work your rear delt, to work your back, especially because a lot of people are not able to do pull-ups. Pull-ups are a great option, body weight, to work that upper back, but you have to be a certain fitness level to do pull-ups because pull-ups are freaking hard. And so for a lot of people, that just is not a good option for them. So this would be a great way to balance out your home workouts. Big fan of resistance bands. I'm actually going to put a link in the show notes to a good basic set that you could pick up that are a good bang for your buck. And the nice thing about these is you could stack them. So while the heaviest tension band might be 50 pounds, which will be suitable for some people, it may not be for others, especially if you're doing a row or an exercise with larger muscle groups. But you could stack the 50, the 40, the 30-pound bands all together to create actually a lot of tension. And they're fantastic. I'm a huge fan. The other type of resistance bands I'll utilize are made by a company called X3. And these are super heavy duty bands. These are like, you could do proper deadlifts and squats and big movements with these bands. Comes with like this metal platform and a full on like barbell. Still pretty small, still pretty compact. It fits into, it's not as travel friendly on an airplane, but I throw them in the back of my truck when I go camping. I'll throw them in my camper and they work great for that. It's not that big. It's maybe like the size of a skateboard, if you can visualize that, and with everything all kind of compiled in this carrying case. And that's something, it's more expensive. It's not 25 bucks. It's maybe $400 or $500, but it's great for high tension resistance bands that give you a lot more versatility than the cheaper ones. But start with the cheaper ones, and then you could always upgrade to those if you find you enjoy them and you're using them. The second piece of equipment that I freaking love for home workouts and travel is the suspension trainer. So the most common brand of this is called TRX. There are these yellow and black straps. You've probably seen them at the gym. You don't need a TRX, guys. Yes, you could get the name brand and probably looking at, I don't know, 150 bucks or so for a proper TRX, but you can also get these off-brand ones that are the same freaking thing. At the end of the day, they're just moving straps with handles. Like, you don't need the name brand to get something quality that's not going to break, that's actually going to do the trick. And some of these off-brand ones, I recommend to people I work with on Amazon are like 40 or 50 bucks for a really good pair of, for a really good set of these suspension trainers. And they're awesome. They come with like a attachment you can put in a doorway. So any door, you can put it in, close the door, and then you have your point of attachment. And you could do same thing, rows, different pull exercises. It's one of my single favorite pieces of equipment for triceps. You do overhead tricep extensions on the TRX, and it just tears up your triceps in all the best ways. It's phenomenal. You could do chest press, you could do hamstring leg curls, you could do different core exercises. They're pretty epic. Really, really versatile. Similar thing as the resistance bands, they bundle up into this small, kind of almost like a small soccer ball size. Actually, potentially even a little smaller than that. And they're, I don't know, maybe 5 pounds. They're super light. So it's a great option. And then if you have a pull-up bar, or if you're out in nature, you could hang them on a tree, or you can get creative. And sometimes I'll hang them on the roof racks of my camper. So I'll use the camper as a point to attachment point. They're awesome. So those are the top two. This is good suspension trainer. Off brand, you're looking at 50 bucks. Decent pair of resistance bands, 25 bucks. So super cheap, no excuses. Then you can get your workout in anywhere, anytime. And even if you like the gym, Sometimes these things are good to have on hand for if you don't have time to work out or you're just not feeling like a full-blown workout at the gym, having some type of plan B where you're like, yeah, I'll just break out the TRX, do something in the front yard or the backyard. It's a great option. Now, the third thing I'd add to this, it's not quite as travel friendly, but is certainly a good way to round this out, is especially for home workouts, is a pair of adjustable dumbbells. So a pair of dumbbells, you can get a fancier type like Bowflex, like a name brand, gonna run you probably $300-400, but you can also get the cheap ones that just manually screw off on the ends and you add and take away plates. A little more inconvenient to use, but they're also, less than half the price. And those are great too for adding weight to certain exercises, really kind of rounding out your home gym setup. You're not going to throw that in like a suitcase. You're probably not even going to put it in your car if you're going on a road trip. That's where these other two pieces come into play more, but for home gym purposes, they're great. So I hope you found this helpful. Having the proper pieces of equipment, having some stuff ready to rock at your house or when you're traveling can really make or break your consistency with your training regimen. So these are small, pretty low expense purchases in the big scheme of things. And if you put them to use, they're going to be worth every penny. So hope you found this information helpful. Please share it along to someone you know that could use some on-the-go exercise equipment tips, and I'll see you on the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If you found it helpful, please share it along to anyone else you believe it can serve. You can submit your own question to be answered on the show by going to ryankennedyhealth.com/podcast. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review for the show. Your feedback helps to support me on my mission to positively impact as many people as possible with this information. Please note, the information depicted in this episode is purely for informational purposes only. Please consult your healthcare professional before making any changes to your lifestyle or routine.